Here we have the traffic light working as normal. The distance sensor is over 10 centimeters away and the push button is not pressed. When the traffic light is red, the pedestrian light is green, and when the traffic light is green, the pedestrian light is red. But if we move the sensor closer than 10 centimeters, the green light will stay on for twice as long and the red light will stay off for half as long. If we move it back, it'll go back to normal. But if we press the push button right here, the red light will stay on for twice as long, allowing the pedestrian to pass. Here we have an attach interrupt thing so that whenever the button is sends a signal from ground to volt V plus rising, it will activate the pressing function. This is whenever happening in the loop, it will stop that for a very short period of time and run the pressing function. That's very important and integral to the code. But here we have car, which is a converted sense of what the pin is actually reading. Since the sensor actually sends a signal that's inversely proportional, it's like 1 over x, so it's very weird, and you have to figure out this formula to get a rough approximate distance in centimeters. And then we obviously have a delay so that it has time to read because it takes around 13 oscillations. Here we have an if statement that's just saying if that distance is less than 10 centimeters, it will change the green light length by a factor of 2. And if the distance is over 10 centimeters and the button is pressed, which is showing that there's pedestrian there, then the green light will be changed by a factor of a half. If neither of those things are true, the green light will stay on for the normal amount of time. Then it obviously runs, makes the green light turn on, then off, then the yellow light turn on, then off. Then we have the same thing for the red light. But this time the pedestrian is the first one. So if the button is pressed, no matter what, the red light will stay on for twice as long. And if that's not true, if their button isn't pressed and the car is within 10 centimeters, then the red light will stay on for half as long, and then it will stay on for the normal amount of time. Then the button is reset, so this is why we don't need it to bounce, because whenever you press it, it will just stay high, and it will stay high until the pedestrian is reset to low again using this. And then we have the red light actually turning on. So we didn't use the light on function because it was an analog light because the red light is super bright. So we have it at 8, which sounds very low, but it actually works pretty well. And we also have things that want to happen in the middle of it. So here we have the pedestrian light turning green, the red pin turns off, and the green light pin turns on. And then it waits for the determined amount of time, and then the traffic light red turns off, the green pin turns off, and the red pin for the pedestrian light turns high, so it resets it back to red. And it just keeps looping this, and it keeps looping it. And yeah, it just continues on forever. It keeps reading the inputs and displaying the outputs. Here we have the light on, which just digital writes high and then waits a certain amount of time, then digital writes low.